Chargesheet was recently filed against me and now I've been summoned by the court. Can I be convicted on that date? The client recently posed this question to me and I explained to him that there is a long drawn out process of framing of charges, arguments on charges, then framing of charges, examination of prosecution witnesses, the statement of the accused under section 313 CRPC, after that the defense witnesses, and then final arguments, and then an order of conviction or acquittal is passed. So it's going to be several years before anything comes in your matter. You do not need to be afraid. One caveat though, if you plead guilty the day you appear before the magistrate, a lot of times they can be lenient on you, but sometimes they can sentence you to some few days, months, or maybe a year or two of imprisonment as well. So you have to be careful. And those plea guilty convictions are not appealable, so you have to be super careful. On most days I would advise you to just contest trial. Having said this, another aspect that I discuss with this client with a lot of people don't really think about, which is if you have a trial awaiting you the next 7, 10, 15 years, especially if it's not very serious offenses such as murder or dacoity or something like that, and especially if it's a false case, as is also the situation with this particular case that this client was facing. You should not just think about, oh, I have to get an acquittal, or I have to, or I might face a conviction, because that's going to happen several years from now. There's also a very real possibility that the complainant might settle the matter with you. Now, even in this situation, the person said, I will call up that complainant and I will apologize and I will ask him if he can wrap up these proceedings and he can find it in the goodness of his heart to not, have me face this trial. And I said that if that, you should definitely go ahead and do that. But if that does not work, what you should also be doing is you should also be seeking your remedies against the other person. And on most occasions I find this happening. It's not that, human beings, right? It's not that you are the perpetrator, the other person is a victim, and that's the end of the story. On a lot of occasions, I would say about 90% of the cases I have seen, there is always the whole tali dono haathon se bajti hai kind of a situation where, and even in this situation, certain things were done by the opposite party, certain things were done by my client. Because of it, now the other person filed a complaint and got an FIR registered, and now my client faces this little sword hanging over his head. But my client also has certain grievances, but if he does not approach the courts or the police with those grievances, he does not have anything to bring to the negotiation table either. Now, right now the complainant says, oh, I don't want your money, or I don't want your apologies, I want to go to court and get justice. But the moment you start going for your grievances against the other person, then they realize that they've also got something to lose. They've also got money to lose. They've also got a possible conviction years down the line, just like you. And that is when they want to come to the negotiation table and try to amicably sort it out. It has happened on a lot of occasions in both of these, altercation situations and many other things. Parties are able to get the other party to the compromise table by seeking their genuine grievances against the other party. I'm not talking about false cases. Genuine grievances against the opposite party. Definitely go for it.